my cooking YouTube video or any video before. I once did a sunflower roasting sunflowers, but that was not live and eating the whole sunflower head. We are using the things I just harvested in my garden, my tomatoes. I did some more harvesting since I turned off the live stream. I harvested some of my purple mountain spinach as well as the kale that grows in my rock garden. I've only shown it maybe once or twice on the channel. I have a good sized kale plant in the rock garden. So that is what we are using: kale, purple mountain spinach, as well as the tomatoes we just harvested. There are those weird black tomatoes. I'm going to show you what they look like inside. We've got some different colors of tomatoes, all harvested just a few moments ago in the garden. And oh boy, definitely need to deal with those. They are juice coming out, as well as some green onion. And I harvested some edible flowers. We've got some pansies and nasturtiums. And we're gonna put them on some mini pizzas for my lunch. So sometimes I do make the pizza crust, but today I just decided I'm going to use some pre-made pizza crust. I've never used this kind before. Hopefully it's pretty good. And we'll make these mini pizzas. And this is probably gonna be a couple lunches for me. I think there's 2 in here, I'm pretty sure. Sort of a medium thickness crust. And I've got a little cookie sheet, put them on there. So now I'm gonna lower the camera down a little more so you can see better. Bring it in closer. We're going to start with just plain, I'm kind of on the fence between pizza sauce and olive oil, although I might actually do both. So I think we're going to do a thin layer of pizza sauce on the bottom. And spread it out a little bit. I need a little more sauce, I think. I just thought about this. I should have added basil leaves to my collection here. I might actually go get some, but we're gonna start assembling the pizza before we get to that stage. I think basil leaves would be so good in this. I don't have a lot, but I do have some we could harvest outside. But we'll start with the bottom of the pizza before we get into the rest. So, pizza is actually my favorite food, but I try not to eat it too often because it's not necessarily the healthiest food, but it is so delicious. So we've got a layer of standard traditional pizza sauce on the bottom. Hello, beauty of anime. Welcome to a little pizza live stream. This is all primarily harvested from my garden. So we're gonna start the bottom layer. I typically do vegetables on the bottom. So we're gonna start with some kale leaves. I'm gonna break them up just a little bit. Kale and purple mountain spinach is going on the bottom of the pizza. I should do a different camera angle. Maybe go a little closer here, down. I've never filmed a cooking live stream before, so this is all new to me. Not the best at camera angles sometimes, but I'm learning as I go. The couch potato, welcome to a little garden harvest pizza making live stream. And I said earlier we might make a slight trip back to the garden to get some fresh basil leaves, which I forgot to harvest when I was out there. I'm just breaking up some of my kale leaves right now. And then, oh dear, what is that? Okay, never mind. I thought I saw a bug move in my bowl of vegetables. It wasn't a bug. I don't know what it was, but I think it might have been a little flower particle from my purple mountain spinach. So I'm just adding the purple mountain spinach on top of the kale. And then I thought a nice touch for this is probably going to be adding the olive oil, drizzling it on top. made you smile? What made me smile today? Oh, I will tell you. I just did a live stream and somebody made a comment about me being one up on Cinderella because of all the pumpkins I'm growing, that she only had 1 pumpkin and I have 21, so I'm one up on her. That made me smile. I thought that was quite sweet and cute. So next, we're gonna do an olive oil, just a drizzle on top of my kale and spinach. And then I think we're going to go back to the garden actually before we do the rest of the Cinderella who? Well, I have an abundance of pumpkins. This is what my pizzas are looking like in the vegetable garden. So I forgot to harvest basil. I do pizza making in a very specific order. I always start with the greens on the bottom, and basil to me is a green. So we're gonna get a few basil leaves. I'm gonna take my bowl, and no, this was not intentional. I was trying to be super organized with this little live stream, but I kind of forgot about the basil, and I do want to put basil on my pizza. So we're going back for a very quick outing into the garden. If you're new here, I do mostly garden and nature videos on YouTube. I don't really do cooking videos, but I was just in the mood. I thought, why not do a little cooking video? This is my vegetable garden. If you've never been here before, I grow a lot of different vegetables. And this is one of my basil plants that the bugs have not eaten. It's pretty small, but we're gonna harvest some basil leaves for the pizzas. These are little baby, oh boy, the crows landed while I came out. They like to join in the live stream sometimes. So we're gonna take off quite a few of these little baby basil leaves. And this usually strengthens the plant. The more you prune plants, the stronger they get for the most part. So don't ever be afraid to prune your plants. If you have any kind of plant situation growing, plants love to be pruned. So it's not going to be a ton of basil for those little pizzas, but something is going to add a lot of flavor to the pizzas. Quick little look at the vegetable garden. Going back into the kitchen to make these pizzas. Okay, so I am going to wash these because it's usually a good idea to wash your produce before we put them on the pizza. And go in the sink. That's all right. Put them back in the bowl. So, back to the pizzas. We've got kale, purple mountain baby spinach, and let me just put you back on the tripod. Hold on, I gotta flip the camera. Oh boy. The wrong button. Happens often. All right, so we are going to move the camera again. Sprinkle the basil on top of the other greens here. And then we're going to cut up some of my green onion and put that in to the pizza. So this is the green onion I harvested before making this video from the garden that you just saw. And we're just going to use scissors and cut some of this green onion and put it onto the pizza. Green onion is so delicious, and it is one of those vegetables that just keeps on producing. You cut from it and it comes back. You keep cutting and you get more. Kind of like a free vegetable in a sense. And it produces in the climate I live on Vancouver Island here, you get it year-round pretty much. Even in the winter, you can sometimes harvest green onion without a greenhouse, which is really nice. My goodness, the smell right now, it smells so good between the basil, the olive oil, and the onion I'm cutting up. My goodness, I wish I could send you the smell, like package it up and send it through the YouTube stream because it smells amazing. So vegetables so far. We're gonna put meat on. I am not a vegetarian. I'm going to put some Cajun chicken breast on here. I do need more protein than the vegetables will provide, so I just have a little Cajun chicken breast. We're gonna put some of that onto the pizza. And then there will be more vegetables going on top of this, but I have a particular order that I like to assemble the pizzas in. So, just gonna put a little bit of the Cajun chicken breast on here. Just break it up into little pieces. And this smells delicious too. Got my mouth watering from the flavors that are going on here, the aromas that are radiating off the pizzas. Country Kirby, welcome to my kitchen pizza making live stream. Actually gonna sample them. I'm getting pretty hungry. That is my normal speech. Anyways, next we are going to do tomatoes. I'm going to show you my little strange tomatoes that I've got growing. So this is what I'm calling a black tomato. Never grew these before. They're like a dark purple black. They seem to be two-toned. I have eaten these. I've harvested them twice already and made them into salsa kind of concoctions. I'm going to show you what they look like on the inside. I don't know what they're supposed to look like, if they're ripe, if they're underripe. They do taste good and they have a nice texture, but they're kind of a mysterious tomato that I've got growing in the garden. So we're going to cut a couple of these open and I'm going to show you the insides. I'm going to wash them first. I haven't washed the tomatoes yet. So, let me see if I can just move a little. Let's see. I'm going to lower the camera down a little bit more so you can see the tomatoes in particular. So, we're going to cut into the first one. Now, what's very weird about these tomatoes, I don't know if these are ripe and they're very firm to touch. So normally if you grow tomatoes, you can tell they're ripe when they're quite, well, often red, but then also the texture will be more soft and this is quite firm. So these tomatoes have been really surprising me. They've been on the vine looking like this for about a month. They haven't changed much color. So I decided to start harvesting them. They're quite firm to touch. They're not really soft. And I don't know if they're supposed to get softer or if this is what they are. I've never grown this before. I bought them at a plant sale. So on the inside, they're more like a traditional green tomato, as if they're underripe. But I don't know if that's what they're supposed to look like. The texture is quite firm, but they're actually very delicious when you eat them. So I just eat them the way they are, into cooked dishes. I don't care if they're ripe or not ripe at this point, but they'll provide quite a nice texture on the pizza actually. And the flavor isn't quite as tomatoey as a traditional red tomato, which in my opinion is nice. Sometimes I find the red tomatoes a little too tomatoey. So it's kind of nice to have a different flavor and texture in some of the things you're using with these tomatoes. So we're going to put this onto the pizzas. Let me just move the camera a little bit here. Maybe up a little more. There we go. So some of these black tomatoes are going on here. And then we're going to add some red tomatoes. So this one has a little crack. I'm still going to use it. I'm still going to wash it and use the good parts. I think I read in the Rare Seed catalog that those purple tomatoes come from GMO stock. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't know much about it at all. But that's interesting. So I'm just going to cut off the bad parts. I try not to waste things in the garden. I try to use whatever I grow. So if there's parts that don't look pristine, they just get composted. So So we're gonna put this one in. Kind of a multicolored golden pinky red tomato. Oh, you can't see that, hold on. See if I can go lower. I think pizza has a bad reputation for being super unhealthy. I mean, it's not the healthiest food, but there are ways you can make it healthier than your average greasy store-bought kind of restaurant pizza. I wonder if you can actually see that over there. See if I can move the camera a little bit different angle. Hold on. This is my first time making a cooking video and the camera angles are a little challenging. I'm not really used to this kind of a filming situation. Indigo rose tomatoes. You might be right about that. That's kind of what they're looking like, the colors. It's quite beautiful, actually. The multicolor effect that they have. So, I think that's quite a bit of tomato. I was going to add my cherry tomatoes, but I think I'm going to overload it with tomatoes if I put those on there too. So, we're going to stop with the tomatoes and move on to another ingredient. Going to move the cutting board out of the way. So next we are putting on some edible flowers. So yes, I do eat flowers. I think some people wonder if I only eat them in those taste testing videos. That is not true. I eat them quite often. There's many edible flowers out there. Some of my favorites are pansies. These taste a lot like lettuce. They don't have a ton of flavor, they're more for aesthetics, but they're definitely edible. They're one of my favorite varieties, so I just put a few of those on. And then if you really want to pack your flavor punch, you put nasturtiums. Put them in your salads, put them in your pizzas, put them in your stir fries. These will pack the flavor punch. So we're going to put a few of those on the pizza. And let's see, next we are going to go for, I'm going to compost this. The most important part of the pizza making comes down to the final ingredient. As far as I'm concerned, the cheese is always the most important part of pizza making. If you can't have a pizza without the cheese. So today I'm just putting a triple cheddar on there, but any kind of cheese is good on a pizza. Sometimes you do multiple cheeses. So, just opening the bag of cheese here. And I do like to go pretty heavy on the cheeses. Cheese is one of my favorite ingredients to work with. Turn the camera around and give you a good look at my pizza before it goes in the oven. Okay. So here it is, my garden pizzas. We're gonna put them in the oven and do a little baking. Formunda cheese as well. I don't know what that is. I haven't heard of it, but you could tell me a little bit about that cheese. I'm interested to know what it is. So I've got my oven preheated. 375. I'm not sure how long I'm going to bake these guys for, but we'll put them in and see. And they are going to be delicious. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen today. I'm not going to wait for them to finish to show you the live stream. I'll probably take a picture of them and post it on my YouTube community tab. But thank you for joining me in the kitchen for my pizza making adventure. And I hope you have a lovely day.